Just using a little Timbermate wood filler and taking these areas here and doing the fill in where everything was chipped out. And I've built this up 2 or 3 times, and I'm going to do a little sanding now. See if I can smooth this out, and we'll take a closer look at it. Here's a look back at the top of the cabinet. I've still got more sanding to be done. Some of the areas again that I filled in. I'll use some 400, 800 grit sandpaper, and you can see here all the open spaces here between the substrate and the veneer I filled in as well. And here's those side horizontal louvers there where the speaker resides inside the cabinet, and I've made those repairs. Just a little final sanding here as well. And then I'll take a graining marker and kind of darken those up to blend them in. You can see here the missing piece that I have that needs to be glued back in, and one little chip there is well that I'll need to make a repair on. And a good fit there for that piece there that was unglued, so that'll be an easy repair. And you can see here on the front side just a little bit of loose veneer in there. I'll put a little glue in place, and then this one spot here I'll probably patch up as well where that one nail resides there on the front. And then on the side here you can see some of the other repairs I made, as well as more nails that were placed in the cabinet. The first veneer repair that I made, and some more repairs that I made there along the top. A beautiful cabinet indeed. So let's go ahead and start doing a little sanding here and filling in some of those other areas, and get this thing ready for some toner lacquers whenever the weather permits. I'm just leveraging one of the methods that I used before. And you can see here I'm just doing some light sanding. Applied some instant glue, super glue back in that crack, and just taking some of the sanding powder itself or dust and kind of filling in the gap itself here. You can see here it's starting to fill in, so I'll continue this method, and I'm moving here to the bottom and do a little sanding here as well. Decided to fill that nail hole with the Timbermate as well. So I was able to fill in the void. The nail still shows a little bit there, but no big deal. As I mentioned, that adds some personality. Moving here to the top left, I'll go ahead and do some sanding here as well on this little small hole that was there. Probably wasn't even worth fixing, but heck, why not? Alright, after getting this wrapped up here, you can see I'm just using one of my brush tip graining markers. There's various markers you can use, and I've just picked a color just a little darker than the cabinet, because I'm going to go back and apply some toner lacquer, which is going to be just a little darker. And you can see I just got a small piece of steel wool here that I'm using. And I like using the Brie Wax steel wool. This is 4-aught extra fine. It's a high quality oil free steel wool, so when you're doing cabinet refinishing later, you don't have to worry about some of the oil that's left behind from some of the cheaper steel wool out there on the market that can create some problems with the finish. And all I'm trying to do here, you can see I'm just trying to blend this in to somewhat cover it up, and we'll apply more toner lacquers. And then here you can see I'm just moving back down to the bottom side and repeating the process, not looking to totally hide the flaw there, just to somewhat blend the existing finish in, so when we apply the new toner lacquers over this, it will somewhat hide those imperfections. So we got a beautiful day here too. It's fun being outside, other than the pollen that's in the air. It's starting to get windy. I was hoping to get to a point where I could apply some finish, but the winds were supposed to get up to 20-25 miles an hour. And like I said, there's so much pollen in the air right now. I'm going to just have to wait. Looks like we got some nice thunderstorms in the forecast and rain moving through, so hopefully in the next few days I'll be able to apply some toner lacquer over the top of this finish and clean it up a little bit. You can see here, same process, just using a graining marker here and just going over this area with the steel wool, trying to blend some of this in. Not my best repair on this corner here. I used some epoxy to begin with to fill the hole, and then went back with the Timbermate, but I think it'll do once everything's covered up. You can see I moved back into the shop here too, the pollen and the wind, and man, the bees. I got some Japanese hornets that are pretty aggressive around the house at times. And same process here, just using the brush tip graining marker and applying some of that over the Timbermate. And one thing too, kind of a hint, you can use a dye or a stain in the Timbermate and actually pre-color. If you have the neutral color like I used here, I just kind of forgot to do that. So I'm just going back using the brush tip graining marker over the top of this to get the colors somewhat close. These horizontal louvers, the toner lacquer is very dark in this area, so once we're done, I doubt we'll see any of these repairs to speak of. And got the corner piece here glued back in place, and got a piece of sandpaper wedged in, and then the clamp on the other side. You can see here the repairs I made where I tried to somewhat blend the color in and hide that neutral color of the Timbermate wood filler. So I think it's moving right along. Like I said, not a complete refinish on this cabinet. I'm going to just touch it up with some toner lacquers and try to blend what's there today in with some new whenever the weather permits.